Well, it's definitely been a long time. Those breaks, you know.
Right here in the world, being with you all alone was like a dream come true. I want you right here in the world.
A day turns into two, and before you know it, that turns into a week, that into a month, and then here we are having to reintroduce ourselves. But for the faithful few that are here, and those of you who have been leaving me comments while I was absent, I do appreciate it. Some good, some bad, but I appreciate the feedback nonetheless. I'm back today with a highly anticipated topic, maybe not to the majority of my viewers, but to some former and current employees of the SCDC. SCDC for those who have worked there, but grammatically it's the SCDC, the South Carolina Department of Corrections. And we're going to talk about the employee shortage and what that means for employees and inmates alike. Let me backtrack here and say what that could mean, because none of us can predict the future. But from experience, I can tell you that a staff shortage is no good for anyone. But before we go into those details, let's talk about the reasons why there are staff shortages going on statewide. And the first thing that I can tell you, SCDC, if any of your officials or higher ups ever watch this by some stretch of the imagination, learn how to treat your people. I can't say it enough. Learn how to treat your people. You have veterans such as myself. 10 years, I just let it go down the drain because you do not know how to treat your people. Number one, the pay sucks. You are not compensated for all that you have to go through once you get behind those walls. I don't care if you're an employee. You are an inmate for the day once you enter into those gates. You cannot get out by yourself. You cannot leave a building, abandon your post. Of course, you know, that goes without saying. However, it's you and upwards of 100 inmates on any given day. Tell me how that's good for anyone. And then you have your supervisors who really cannot be out on the yard maintaining the security of the yard and their subordinates because, again, staff shortages. So you have them in operations, and operations just oversees what happens for the entirety of the day for the entire institution. So you have captains and lieutenants running that. You have the control room where sergeants and people who are not even assigned to the control room, who are needed out in the yard, cannot man their posts because all of these outside subsidiary posts are not filled. Nobody wants to live like that. So if you're anything like me, you get up in the morning and you get dressed with the expectation of wanting to have a good day. You make your lunch because there's no guarantee that you're going to get a break, even during the 12-hour shift. Even though there are laws mandating the fact that you are supposed to get a break, there's no guarantee that you're going to get a break because there's nobody who is either willing or able to man that building in your stead until you go and get some nourishment for your body and come back refreshed, haven't had a break, haven't had a change of scenery. There's nobody to do that for you. So you're stuck in one place all day long for upwards of 12 hours. And then they wonder why people start calling out. You can't get your phone calls. You can't have your cell phone. You can't check on your people, can't check on your family, your friends. And there is no guarantee that if something happens, somebody there who is over you is going to have your back. I've seen people be blackballed and blackmailed. I've seen people be cast out because they've had real life emergencies. Now, granted, some people, such as me, have played with that type of thing because we get tired. You know, we get desperate for a break. You don't give us a break after that shift. And so we squander that time that we get because when you work for the Department of Corrections, you are on salary, which means whether you're on or off, you're still getting paid the same thing as long as you have the time to cover it. So, you know, we got smart with that. You know, you don't have to have a doctor's note unless you've been gone 3 consecutive days. But then there are people who really do have emergencies. A friend of mine, her mother passed away. Do you know they called this girl after a couple of days and told her she needs to come back to work? So her being afraid that she was going to lose her job, she returned back to work. Now, luckily, the major at the time, she had some sense and she told her bye. Get out the door. You got other things to handle. But had she not been there to intervene, that girl would have had to come back to work after burying her mother with no time to heal and recover. But that was the nature of the beast as far as SCDC was concerned. And it didn't matter what was going on with you. I remember, again, sometimes I played, but then there were times that I was very, very much serious. I remember I had an allergic reaction, and my captain told me, go on Dana. Dana kind of mans itself because it has staff over there during the day. They have a specialized program over there, and the other side was empty. So she tells me to go sit over there, and she's going to bring me a Benadryl. I said, well, I'm going to fall asleep if you give me Benadryl. She said, that's okay. Just turn your back. So these are the type of issues that SCDC is dealing with. Their employees, their inmates. The inmates are not safe because there's nobody really to watch both sides. Again, I have a doggone example for everything, okay? I remember, again, me being one officer, a lone officer, after my new hire had gone home. I had people on this side and people on this side. A fight broke out on the A side of the building. Girl got her head pummeled. Now, of course, the family is not too happy, so they're calling because she called. She told them that she got beat up and nobody was there to watch it. But if I'm making rounds on the total other side with a door, right? And then you have to have both sides locked so that the inmates can't get out. So realistically, if I'm making rounds on this side and the fight is going on this side, and it's almost soundproof. I mean, you can hear it, but if you're on the opposite side, you're not going to hear much from over there. How am I supposed? I don't have eyes in the back of my head. Neither do I have a doppelganger who can go on the other side and watch for me. But they expected you to do all of this, be responsible for this entire building, make sure that nothing happens, even though you are also responsible for making rounds on each side. But somehow it became my fault. So they called me and they asked me, they said, such and such got into a fight on the A side. Where were you? I said, on the B side. And they said, well, you didn't know that anything was going on? And I said, how was I to know that something was going on? If I'm halfway down the third aisle, how am I supposed to know that a fight is taking place on the B side in the bathroom? Come on now. So, of course, that didn't go anywhere. They couldn't really do anything with that because the logic just didn't. It wasn't logic at all. I mean, so these are the issues, the types of issues that officers are facing. And not only that, with COVID and certain lockdown restrictions, I'm sure that is a lot. I was there still when COVID first began, and I saw all of the quarantine and all of that, and all of that has to be stressful because there again, even though the institution is a little more lax because of the lockdowns, officers are still being restricted to one place without a break, without anybody checking on them. I have gone whole shifts without anybody coming to my building and saying, well, are you okay? Do you need anything? Has anything gone down? And I know that hasn't changed, especially with them hollering that we are short. And, I've heard the complaints from some friends who still work there. But because this is something that they did yesterday and likely feel like it's the only thing that they can do, they remain there. But the one thing that SCDC did not expect is that this new generation of workers that they are hiring, they don't care anything about quitting a job. The same way I got this one, I'll get another one. There are people with degrees who could be doing so much more in their field, but because, that job hunting process was going a little slow, they took that as a means to an end. You get there and you're beat up, you're abused, not even by the inmates who you expect, but by your fellow employees. Nobody's going to stick around and deal with that. So now you have this whole influx of these little mailings that they're sending out that say, we want you back. And if I can find a picture, I'm going to insert it. So basically, as you can see, They are offering incentives and bonuses to get former employees back, the same former employees that they didn't treat right the first time around. And everybody who's posted that on Facebook, everybody that I've seen who's gotten that mailing, that insert, they laughed at it. They said they would not touch SCDC with a 10-foot pole. Now, personally, I did not get that mailing because by the time that I left, I was out of uniform. So they're really looking for corrections officers. They figure, the other posts can fill themselves. But I wouldn't recommend anybody to be a corrections officer with the Department of Corrections, not here in South Carolina. No, until they fix the very broken system that they have, I would not recommend it, because you're going to go into a place where you think is job security, and it is, but at the risk of your mental health, at the risk of your peace, at the risk of your sanity. Do not do it. Until they fix things from the inside out, you're always going to see these shortages, because you can make it look as good as you want with $50,000 as a starting pay and all that. But once people get in there and they get into the thick of it, they're going to realize that you could pay them $100,000 a year. But nobody's going to risk their sanity because you can't find people or keep people to do these jobs. It's going to take the higher ups, the directors, the regional directors, all of that, to come down into these institutions and spend a day on these buildings to realize and understand what their employees go through. You can do as many surveys as you want. You can do as many one-on-ones and counseling sessions as you want. Exit interviews, recruiting aren't worth anything. The people, the lieutenants who are supposed to be there, the retention lieutenants, I couldn't get that word out. They aren't worth anything. I remember I told that lady, I'm about to go. And she said, well, it seems like you made up your mind. Ma'am, this is 10 years. The most that you can offer me in terms of why I am not satisfied is it seems like you have made up your mind. Where do you go from there? You leave, because you can already see from that one interaction that they couldn't care less. Yeah, they want you there because they need a body. They don't want to start taking down and dismantling these positions to fill these roles as necessary, which is why another thing, they're making non-uniform staff, they're mandating it that they keep their certification just in case that they have times like these. So the people who are certified non-uniform, they can go and work buildings, they can go and work the back door, they can go and work control, things like that. And it's very sad. It is very sad, because it's not like some outside force is coming in and pushing these people away. It's happening from the inside out. Fix the broken system and you fix your shortage. Simple. Now, me, being a woman of words, when I left, I didn't just leave. I emailed everybody I could think of. The Division of Classification and Inmate Records, Dennis Patterson, the assistant director, or whatever he is, whatever his title is, Brian Sterling, the actual director of the Department of Corrections. You think I heard anything back? No, because these people do not care. It is not their job to care. Their job is to make sure that these inmates are locked away as the statutes mandate. And after that, they don't care about you as an employee. They just know that their institutions are being manned and that they don't have to do it. Period. It's sad but true. I don't look at anybody with 10, 15, 20 years in envy or in awe. I look at them in pity, because how could you stay in a place that does not value you that way? No amount of money is worth that. And that's why SCDC is experiencing the shortages that they are experiencing, because people are waking up and seeing that it's never going to change. People are waking up and seeing that they're giving their life and their all to a place that they see more than they see their own children at times. All this overtime and all of this, we can't find anybody to relieve you, so you're going to stay here 12, 16 hours, even though the policy states that, there's a cap on that, but they don't care. You think they're going to come and relieve you so that you can go home? You've been there all day long and they're just getting there. But do you think that somebody with a little bit of insignia is going to come and relieve you? Think again. In very rare cases do you see that. And what is also very rare is a satisfied employee. I've talked to many over the years, and I left there in July of 2021. But even since then, I have spoke to many employees, and everybody says the same thing. It's not getting better. But SCDC will not wake up. They will not try to understand the problem. You can go to employee relations. Employee relations will tell you right now, well, are you sure that that's what it is? They're gaslighting you into believing that you might be the problem. Although you have given names, you have given instances, you have given proof, you have even brought that person who was causing the hostile work environment. You have brought them there personally to have a meeting. And guess what? Because it's easier to sweep something under the rug so that you don't have to worry about the bigger problem of restaffing a position, then you leave it on the subordinates to deal with, and they walk right out the door. So pretty soon, you're going to have a bunch of supervisors and no employees. How does that work? How does that work? But those at headquarters who are acting like they don't see the issue, you guys know, this has been years and years and years in the making. There are several stacks, several binders filled with complaints from employees who are trying to tell you, look, I don't want to leave my job, but I will, because it's not getting any better. So then you have these inmates who know, they're very tuned into the fact that you don't have enough I remember an inmate told me, we run this place. Y'all just work here. We let y'all work here. Could I argue with that? No, of course I said my smart words at the moment, because I'm not about to let you see me sweat, baby. But innately, I knew she was correct. Yeah, they do. They do. And when these numbers become less and less, and these inmates see that we don't have the force behind us that we once had, what do you think they're going to do? How do you think riots start? How do you think takeovers start? Now, God forbid that happened, because I still have some really dear people to me in the Department of Corrections. But I'm telling you what this could mean for those who are still employed within the ranks of those institutions. The surrounding areas, the division of security, all that stuff, you guys are going to be fine. You don't have to go in there. You can send a red team and a black team, and you can send the negotiators. But that's the extent of your involvement, because you're not there on the front lines every single day. It's easier to prepare an incident report and a notice of death than it is to go in there, put your bags down, and actually work a day to see what it is your employees are experiencing. And it's getting so out of control that I heard talk before I left that they were going to have to bring in the National Guard. I don't see why they haven't done that already. Or let the feds take over it. Because not only do you give employees the impossible task of handling two sides of sometimes extremely unruly inmates, you don't give them any support. You don't give them any support. So now every time you look around, you look in the news, there is a report of death. There's a report of inmates sleeping with employees. It doesn't even blow my mind anymore. It doesn't even surprise me anymore. It doesn't surprise me that employees are running the risk of bringing in illegal substances into the institution so that they can make money to live and survive. None of that surprises me anymore. You know, laymen can sit back and judge and say, oh, they're so stupid. Why would they do something like that? You don't know desperation until you're working for a living and still cannot afford to live. Because your employer refuses to see your worth. Your employer refuses to realize that they are underpaying you for an extremely dangerous job. Now, how do I know this? Because I went to my lieutenant years ago and I told my lieutenant, listen, I can't do this anymore. I feel like leaving. I feel like quitting. And she said to me flat out, if you were going to go, you'd have left already. That was her response to me. And I stood there stunned. Now, she walked away. It didn't bother her anymore. But this is me in tears telling her, I feel like I am losing it. I cannot stay here anymore. Like the treatment, and she said, well, if you're going to quit, you'd have left a long time ago. Y'all, right then and there, I knew that you are in it by yourself. I don't care how many times they profess to love you. I don't care how many laughs you might have had. I don't care how sometimes you come into work and it's just a really, really good day. Those people don't care about you. They don't. Their job is to make it out the same way that they came in. Most of them are close to retirement. And when I say them, I mean supervisors, leaders, higher ups. They're close to retirement. They don't care about how you feel coming through the ranks because they already did their time. They were already on the front lines. They already went through that war. So now it's up to you to survive the same way that they did. And you're not going to get that support. Once again, it's really rare that you find a supervisor who really just has your back without question. But as you grow within those ranks, you realize a lot of times people will say things and not mean it. They will say things to you in your face to get you out of their face. And then as soon as you leave, they're mocking you. They're telling this person and that person what you said. And don't let an inmate get hold to it because you think they're going to keep it a secret. Nope. They're going to come right there and tell you what those people said. So now you're dealing with those feelings that you have that have not been completely healed. And then you're dealing with the fact that inmates are mocking you. Inmates are coming back to you and telling you what you told your coworker in confidence. Nobody's going to stay at SCDC. And a lot of people can say, oh, it runs so much deeper than that. That is the extent of it. I guarantee you. It's the pay. It's the treatment. And it's not even the inmates. The inmates that you think would be the problem. No. I miss my inmates right now today. I miss helping people. But I could not do that effectively because my job was constantly undermined by people who did not give a care about me. It didn't matter that we were on the same team. It didn't matter that we had the same goal at the end of the day. They didn't care anything about that. Their objective was to do what they needed to do for them. And the sooner that current employees realize that, the better. I want to call your attention to the Lee Correctional Institution riot that occurred on April 15th, 2018. I'm not going to get into too many details of that. You can go and look it up. I'll try to link the Wikipedia page in the description of this video here. If I cannot, just Google the Lee Correctional Institution riot from April 2018. That is the danger of staff shortages, ladies and gentlemen. Things like that happen. And there was a public outcry. Oh, where was the staff? You have one person. And in this case, I do believe that it was a woman with all of these men rioting. Did she call for help? Yeah, she did. But where she's going to pull the amount of manpower needed to control that riot? Nowhere. They don't teach us in the academy to give our lives for the job. They don't even equip us for that. You go in there with handcuffs and pepper spray. And do you know that most inmates eat pepper spray? Yeah, they do. They digest it like anything else. So really, you're going in there unarmed. You don't have a weapon. You cannot bring in a weapon into an institution. That is asking for trouble. There are things like that that mean that you cannot adequately control the population of your institution. Let me also call your attention to what happened at Kirkland Correctional Institution, where the two inmates were able to bring in the special needs inmates and kill them one by one in their room. What do you think that is? Now, that's an extreme case, but it's just like the fight that happened on my watch when I was on the other side. Guy was making rounds. He can't be in several places at once. So yes, these guys, as he was going, because these are big institutions, as he was going, making his rounds, probably stopping to talk to people, being distracted, because that's what inmates do. They like to distract you when they know something is going on. Don't think that they're ever in it by themselves. They always have a team working for them. So somebody might cough over here. Somebody might call your attention over here. So now you're distracted and they can do what they need to do. But guess who is to blame? It is the officer. Every single time. Yeah, the inmates get the consequences, but you're going to get those consequences too. They might not come right away. They might not be as extreme as what that inmate is going to get, but you're going to get the consequences. And this is the thing. SCDC, you're never going to keep employees anymore because too many people are waking up. Too many people are blowing the whistle on your practices. They are extremely harmful to employees. They are extremely detrimental to families. Nobody's going to stay there. You can send out as many inserts and mailings as you want. But until you fix your institutions, until you fix your policies and procedures, nobody is going to stay there. Period. And when the feds take over and the National Guard takes over, I don't want to hear anything. Because guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit back, eat my food, watch the news, and I'm going to laugh because we've been telling you guys this for years. So if you are a current employee at SCDC, I really do wish you the best. I hope things work out for the best, and I hope you find better for yourself, because I can tell you from experience that ain't it. But thank you guys for watching this episode of Night Knacks. I hope you've gotten something out of it. We're just here to dish and talk on the current environment of the Department of Corrections. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on anything that I've said, anything you agree with, disagree with. It doesn't matter. Let's have a discussion. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Have a great one.
Right here.